Hello, everybody. This is Howard, the Teaserking, coming to you with Week 14 of the NFL. Just a marvelous last couple of weeks in the pros and in college. 7-3 last 2 weeks ago, but it was really on my big game 7-1, and I lost the small teaser. And 8-2 last week. And it's been weird because I lost with Washington, Dallas. But it was because I wanted the dog, and initially Dallas was favored. I bet Washington. Then Washington's favored. I would have bet Dallas, and I would have won because the dog was the play. And that happens to me regularly. That's how I analyze games, is I'll look at the game without the spread, and I'll go, well, who do you think will win? And I'll go, I don't really know. I can't really tell. I'm going to take the dog. And lately what's been happening, like tonight's game, they keep messing around with the point spread. I mean, this line in Vegas is terrible. It's not really good. This line started Atlanta -1, then it goes New Orleans -2. Now it's Atlanta -2. I've never seen anything like it. How does it go from 2-2? You know, how does it jump 4 points and then it jumps 4 points back? Where was the one, the even? I mean, it's insane, and I really don't know why the line's moving tonight. But you know, at the end of the day, like if I want to play the dog, I want the team, but they keep moving the line in 4-point intervals, creating one team favored than the other. So a lot of the times, like I'll post a game. I posted a game a few weeks ago, and it was like one team was favored, and then it jumps. I think it was Georgia-Auburn. I wanted Georgia as the dog. I get the line. I make the bet. Okay, I'm taking Georgia in 8. And then a day later, Georgia's favored by 1 or 2. And, you know, fortunately, Georgia blew out Auburn. I mean, I was right on the call, but it was a much stronger play as the dog. And I don't know really what to tell you to do on those. I'll try to imply in the video, take the dog and watch the line move. Because it's just, that's the way I'm analyzing it. I look at the head-to-head, I look at the interdivision, and I go, I want the dog. Usually, I'll only want the favorite it usually is not going to change. Like the favorite will be -7, let's say, down to 1. And it's not going to move. I mean, the line might move to 8 or 6, but it's not going to change the favorite. But in these onesie-twosies that I keep seeing, and they flip-flop from Washington to Dallas, Dallas to Washington, Pitt to Cincy, Cincy to Pitt. I mean, it's all over the place here. Atlanta, New Orleans, New Orleans, Atlanta. Now Atlanta's favored. So I'll tell you in the video, but at the time I'm doing the video is when I'm looking at the points. So I'm going to tell you, take the dog, and I'm taking the dog as of now. And if the line changes, be prudent on who, you know, if you stick with the team I gave you. But part of the reason I like the team I gave you is because they're the dog, and when they turn favorite, it's not as appealing of a play. I want the dog because I'm getting 8 points, and you know, 2 I get +6. I'm up over a touchdown. Now all of a sudden they're 2-point favorites. Well, unless it's a real strong play, I'm not gonna. Do I really want only 4? So I'm either going to want the other team getting 8 or not. Like tonight, I'm taking the dog, and it's basically, I was taking Atlanta. Now I'm taking New Orleans, but it's tonight's game, so it's not, you know, it's not like it's going to move tomorrow. And I don't know if a lot of you people will catch this video before the game goes, or you're going to catch it this weekend. But basically, like tonight, I would take the dog. Now, that's not one of my, it's a pick. I'm giving it to you, but it's not the 2 picks I'm going to give you tonight. But it's just an example of whoever the dog is tonight. And I'll give you an example. The dog in the series is basically 12-2, the last 14. So I'm giving you, that's, you know, but I have that division matchup that I like so much. Atlanta, New Orleans, they play each other twice a year. It seems to be close. The dog seems to win almost every time. you take the dog. Now the dog keeps jumping, but now it's finally Atlanta favored. Now I like New Orleans, which I initially liked New Orleans. I would have preferred New Orleans as the dog, but when they went favored, Atlanta as a home dog is great. Now it's back. But either way, I'm getting more than a touchdown, which is critical. This should be a very close game. New Orleans actually has the better defense, the better quarterback, better coach. So it's just a matter of, I think Atlanta's got the wide receiver edge. The running back's pretty even. So it's a damn even game. Before I would have jumped all over the over in this game. This would have been a lock over, especially at 54, 53. But New Orleans is playing strong defense and running. Atlanta's running also. And, I mean, look at Atlanta Mini last week. It was a 9-7 or 14-9 game. So, therefore, yes, it was low scoring. But there's Mini's defense. But New Orleans has a pretty strong defense, too. And I hate when these announcers, they're so stupid. They don't see the big picture. Well, Atlanta's been struggling this year, and look, they only scored 9 points. You're playing freaking Minnesota. You're not scoring 30 points on Minnesota like you're going to score 30 on Arizona or Houston or, some of the weaker defenses, Frisco or Cleveland. Yeah, then they're going to score 30. But when you play a tough defense, you're not scoring a lot of points. They're a tough defense. Oh my God, it's really hard to listen to these announcers. They're so freaking stupid. Oh my God. Anyway, so let's get down to some picks. Baltimore and Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is favored by 5.5 at this time. And I look at all the casinos in Vegas to come up with the line at the time. Let's look at the series. When I look at the series, it's a dog series. It's a Baltimore series. So Baltimore and Pitt. So when the game is in Pittsburgh, that's where it is. Baltimore's 12-2. This goes back to 2006. Pittsburgh's 12-2, and the dog's 13-1 in Pittsburgh in this game. Baltimore, as the dog, is 13-1. And overall, the dog is 21-4 in the series. So what does that say? Anytime these two teams play, Baltimore's 13-1 is the dog. That's the strong suit. Baltimore in the series is 22-3, the last 25. The dog in Pittsburgh's 13-1. These are very even teams. They play close games. They know each other. Power football. So right there, and I'll go back to 2012 to get. That's the broad. That's the last 10 years. So we'll go back to 12, but we should have very similar numbers. And in Pitt, Baltimore's 5-1, Pitt's 5-1, the dog's 6-0, Baltimore's 5-0, the last 5 as the dog. The dog's 10-1 in the series. Now let's go to our next set of criteria, which is Baltimore as a road dog since 16 is 9-1. Baltimore overall is 23-5, 82%. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, is 10-3 as a home favorite, 77%, 22-9 overall. But if I go back to 15, here's what really, this is why I go back in years. Baltimore's 14-1 as a road dog. Pitt, 15-4 as a home favorite, 10-9 against. So Pitt, not like they kill everybody as a home favorite. And Baltimore, 14-1 as a road dog, 93% as a road dog. We'll go back to 14. It's 19-1 Baltimore as a road dog, 95%. Pitt's 19-7 at home, 16-10 bet against. So it's not like, Pitt, like Green Bay, I think is one of the strongest home favorites. Carolina, Seattle's not as strong as you think. They're 23-9 there. New England was strong until they screwed up 3 games this year with all the injuries, the Kansas City, the Carolina, and the Houston game, where I think they won 2 of them, but they were laying so many points. This is why I do these trends. It shows you Baltimore's psychology as a road dog is 19-1. They love going on the road as the dog and saying, screw you, here we go. Baltimore this year, 2017, 4-0 as a road dog, 2-2 against. Pitt, 3-2 as a home favorite, 2-3 against. So Pitt's not, I mean, they barely beat Green Bay. With a backup quarterback who is not that good. So, I mean, he was good at UCLA. He's just not that good this year. So there you have the individual psychological trends. You have the team versus team trends. So this is a very obvious play based on the trends. I'm going to go one more, and we're going to look at the points. Here, Pittsburgh scores 23 a game, gives up 17. They're +6. Baltimore scores 23, gives up 17, a +6. That's about as even of a game as you can get. So when you got an even game and it's telling you to take the dog, you take the dog, because you got to ask yourself, okay, there's no point spread. Pitt's at home. Are you sure Pitt's going to win against Baltimore? And you can't answer that with a yes. You think they can, but Baltimore's a good team. They need it for the playoffs, for the wild card. Pittsburgh's a good team, but they're not. I mean, they barely beat Cincinnati, down 17-0. They barely beat Green Bay. So they know how to win. I had a conversation with a gentleman this week. We were talking about the new teams, the Philadelphia, the Rams, the Jacksonville. And the conclusion was they don't know how to win. So when they get into the big game, you can't count on them. You're not sure. They're not winners yet. They're good, but they're not winners. Their quarterbacks are not winners. So you don't know what you get. You know what you get with Tom Brady. You know what you get with Drew Brees and Roethlisberger, Russell Wilson, Phillip Rivers. You know they're going to win the game for you. But you don't know what you're going to get in Philly and the Rams. So here, you know what you're getting with Baltimore and Pitt. Roethlisberger's the winner. He'll probably win the game by a field goal. Judging on what's the history of this game, it's a dog game. Baltimore probably get the lead, and it'll probably be a close. I'm guessing like 23-20 will be the score here, 20-17. Not too much scoring, as both teams give up only 17 a game. But here you have a very even matchup. Let's look at the quarterback. And the quarterback here, let's look at Roethlisberger. 20 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He's thrown a lot of interceptions. And Joe Flacco, I'm sure he throws a lot of interceptions. He's 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. Roethlisberger might be more because it doesn't include the Monday night game, and I think he threw one. So let's say he's 20. Let's say he's 21-12 maybe. So Flacco is 11-11, 11 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. So Flacco turns the ball over way too much. This is why Baltimore is struggling. If you ever look at why a team's losing, there's two reasons. The quarterback throws a lot of interceptions, and they can't run the ball. And if a team can't run, they can't win. And if the quarterback's turning it over, then they're really in big shit. So that's what you're looking for. So everything here points to taking the dog. Take Baltimore plus the 11.5. It's a very strong number. They put up a big number against the Lions last week, who had a pretty good defense, but it's going away pretty rapidly. I just see this game close. The history's close. Baltimore needs the game more than Pitt for the playoffs, although Pitt needs it for the 1 seed. And everything else points to a real close game. Take the dog. Game number 2. I could go with the easy one, but I won't. All right, let's look at Jacksonville and Seattle, game I really like. Jacksonville's 2.5, 3-point favorite over Seattle. So let's take a little breakdown of that. Seattle, 10-2 this year, 3-0 as a road dog. Jacksonville, 3-1 as a home favorite, 2-2 bet against. Jacksonville's a strange case. They're 67%. They're 8-4 this year against the number, 6-6 against. They've been a notorious team like Cleveland where they've been very bad against the number. But in this case, Jacksonville, they've been getting better, so the spread's been all over. They've been a road favorite 4 times. They've been a road dog 3 times. I mean, you very rarely see that. Either the team's the dog all the time or they're favorite all the time. Jacksonville is a mix. Let's go back to 16. So here's where the problem with Jacksonville, it's hard to go back because they're so bad for so long and all the trends are going to be against them. So Jacksonville, because they're turning, it's really hard. As a home favorite, they're 4-2 the last 2 years, but you can see this year they're 3-1, so they were 1-1. So you can't really use them. But let's look at Seattle. Seattle is 8-2 as a road dog. Oh, wait a minute. I jumped to 17. 16. They're 5-1 as a road dog in 16. And again, Jacksonville 4-2. We go to 15. They're 8-2 as a road dog, 7-3 against. Jacksonville, again, you can't really count 6-5, 8-3. But let's go back. Okay, and since 14, Seattle's 12-2 as a road dog. See, this is where you start needing the older stats. Since 2013, they're 14-2 as a road dog. So now all of a sudden you got this 80%, 88% road dog. You can't really look at Jacksonville. Back then, they're 7-5 as a home favorite, 9-3 against. So this year's trends for Jacksonville is skewing all their old trends. Because remember, they just keep getting added on, right? So I add on 16 and 17. I add on 15, 16, 17. So as 17 changes, you're going to want to see Jacksonville like 17, 18, 19 if everything remains the same. Now again, if they bring in Manning and get rid of Bortles, then you're going to have a different, now you got to do it again. And that happened with Peyton Manning. I had all the Indy stats, right? Then he goes to Denver, and then I had to ignore all the Denver trends up to that point, and then starting the first year of Manning, but I could use the Indy trends. So I'll use the Giant trends for Eli Manning if he goes to Jacksonville. It's virtually the same team. Coughlin's there, strong defense, and he'll throw the ball. He'll have a better runner in Fontenot and a good defense, but basically if that happens, then that's how we'll look at the trends. But you got to forget the older trends when you get a big change like that. A new coach comes with the Rams. I got to just, some of the trends I can use if they're still relevant. Like the Rams are a good road dog, but here, you got to see the different trends. So let's look at the points. And in the points, Jacksonville scores 25 a game and gives up 14. They're a +10. And Seattle scores 24, so they're right there with them and gives up 18. So really there's only a couple point difference. It's a 10 versus a 6, so it's only a 4-point difference. And this I'm finding to be very, very meaningful. The top teams, the top 10 are Philly, the Rams, New England, Jack, New Orleans, Minnie, Pitt, Baltimore, Seattle, San Diego. That's the strongest teams based on they score more, they have the better defenses, and their variation of offense to defense is the strongest. Philly's a 12, the Rams are an 11-6, New England's a 10. New England had, in the beginning of the year, New England had like 30 points on offense and 30 points on defense. When they were losing, and they lost to KC, and they had problems with Houston and that. Since then, they're down to they're down to 18.6 New England. So if you take out the first 4 games, which in this case, take it out, they're probably giving up like 8 or 9 points a game. And the problem is, like, you think, oh, I'm going to bet over on New England. You got to be careful because New England's more the play than the over, because even though you got Brady, nobody scored on them. So like last week, they beat Buffalo. That was one of my locks, 23-3. My locks last week were very easy. They had New England over Buffalo. And if you watch my video, I gave you New England. They own Buffalo, and in the seasons, in the division series, they own them. And then I had the Rams over Arizona, which was very easy because the Rams are going to score. Arizona with Blaine Gabbert isn't going to light you up. And the Arizona defense is not, used to be like a 13, a 17, 18 a game. It's 25.8 now. So this is why the trends, this is why the stats are beautiful. I can see Miami, you think's a good defense, gives up 25. The Bears give up 22. Buffalo, which you thought was a good defense, gives up 23. Cleveland gives up 26. That's why they lose every week. Denver, which you think is the best defense, gives up 26. So you've got to pay attention to what's happening this year, not, oh yeah, they won the Super Bowl 2 years ago with this great defense. But then you got to look at Philadelphia gives up 18. The Rams give up 18. New England's giving up 18. Jacksonville gives up 15. New Orleans, which you thought had a terrible defense, only gives up 20. The Vikings 17. Pitt, Baltimore 17. So everything's changed. Seattle 18.5. So you have it. And the biggest change is San Diego, who gives up 17 a game. These are critical because you have this feeling of this thought of San Diego, great offense, terrible defense. That's not the case this year. They shut out Denver 21-0. You must pay attention to what's going on. Kansas City, they're giving up 23. They're not this strong defense like you think. Detroit made a drastic change. They were like 17 last year. They're 26 this year. So watch the stats. That's the beauty of the stats if you understand how to read them. So here you have a pretty even game. Jacksonville, I question scoring 25 on Seattle. Even with Sherman out and Cam Chancellor out, they got Bobby Wagner. I know Avrill's out, but Michael Bennett's playing. The backups for Richard Sherman and Chancellor are playing very well. I mean, that's the thing. You got Coach Pete. He's coaching defense. They coach other guys. Look at the kid in the Super Bowl. No, that was New England. But the other kid in the Super Bowl, I think Lane, he broke his hand on the interception when Seattle played New England. I mean, he looks good. He's playing. So, yeah, you lost Richard Sherman, and yeah, there's got to be, I hate this next man up bullshit because they're not even. Nobody's even with Richard Sherman. Maybe the kid on Washington, what's his name? I wasn't thinking about him until now. The guy was on Carolina. Okay, he might be even with Sherman, but the next guy up is not even with Sherman. So I don't want to hear that crap. But basically, the next guys are good. They're NFL, so it's not that big of a drop-off. So my point is, you're looking at Seattle getting 9. They need the game. They're a game behind the Rams. And I just look at that as anytime you look at Seattle against Philly. Now, Philly was a 30-17. Philly's a plus 12. Philly's much stronger than Jackson. Well, they're stronger by 2 points. But the game was in Seattle. Here you got to go to Jacksonville. But there's no way that Bortles is beating Seattle. Bortles doesn't know how to win, which is just the discussion I just had about the Philadelphia and the Rams. Bortles does not know how to win. Russell Wilson does. This game will not be a blowout. Seattle just showed you they can score on Philly, and they score on the road. They win on the road. It's Seattle. It's Russell Wilson. It's Coach Pete. They're winners. You bet winners when they're dogs. Anytime Tom Brady's the dog, and he was a dog against Manning a lot, I won a lot of money betting Brady against Manning. He owned him. And the few times he lost, New England was the favorite. So I'm just saying, when you get Brady as the dog, when you get Rodgers as the dog, Russell Wilson, Roethlisberger, unless they're playing New England, you got problems. If you got those teams as dogs, then it's just green light, go ahead and bet it. So so you can see Seattle is a very strong road dog. They haven't been a home dog in so long, I can't even go to it. Let's go back to 2007. So 07 to 17. Let's look at Seattle. 21-5 as a home dog. 36-20 as a road dog. A little bit too far back. They must have been a little weaker as a road dog in the 07 and before Coach Pete got there. But you can see they're 21-5 as a home dog. Let's go back to 11. Yeah, 2011. Seattle 9-1 as a home dog. Coach Pete's there. 25-4 as a road dog. There you go. 34-5 whenever Seattle's been the dog. And you got 86% and a 90% trend. That's what I'm talking about. When these teams are dogs, look out. San Diego is a great road dog, 36-8. Here's New England, 11-0 as a road dog, 4-0 as a home dog, 15-0 as a dog. It just goes on. Baltimore, 31-4 as a road dog. Jesus, I mean, it's just, Cincy, 14-0 as a home dog. Pitt, 9-1 as a home dog. Atlanta, 11-1 as a home dog. Minnie, 17-3 as a home dog. You get these good teams. Green Bay, they're never a home dog except for this year. So they're 43-10 as a home favorite. It's just embarrassing. And then you'll look at the weak teams, the Lions and Tampa and Frisco, and they're just bad against. Detroit bet against as a home dog, 13-2. Tampa bet against as a home dog, 19-4. The surprising Dallas bet against as a home dog, 12-3. So I mean, you have that in there, but basically you're betting on the winner. Now, unfortunately, here there's no in the division, right? And here's where this is why this year it's just I'm not getting as many interdivision games like Baltimore Pitt last week, New England and Buffalo, and Pitt Cincy. You're getting Detroit goes and plays Baltimore. Seattle's playing Jacksonville. It's like, what the hell is going on here? Where are all the interdivision games? And this week you got Atlanta and New Orleans, Oakland, KC, and you got very few of them. You got Dallas, the Giants, Baltimore, Pitt, New England, Miami. And so I gave you the Baltimore one. But Seattle, you got to love Seattle as a dog. They need the game. They're playing well. They find a way to score. They have a great defense. Fontenot is not going to be able to run. You do not run on Seattle, right? You don't run on Alabama. You don't run on Seattle. And so it's going to be Bortles beat them, and ain't no way Bortles is going to beat them. And I don't care what kind of defense Jacksonville has. Seattle just beat Philadelphia, which has a top defense. And they played with the 49ers with Harbaugh. That was a great defense. Russell Wilson will move the ball. I don't care how good the defense is. When you got a mobile quarterback like Russell Wilson, he's a winner. He'll avoid the rush. He'll spot the blitzes. They'll throw screens and all that stuff. So you can't really, it's hard to beat Russell Wilson. I don't care how good your defense. The 72 Steelers could go out there and he'd still light them up for 21 or something, which is a lot against the 72 Steelers. So that's what you have basically. Let's look at the quarterbacks. I think I forgot to do that. Russell Wilson right on top, 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Playing Bortles. Let's bet that Bortles isn't even 50%. Bortles. Well, he's 14 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. But he's only 14 touchdowns. They don't score, and they're not going to run it in on them. If they don't get defensive touchdowns, it's going to be hard for Jacksonville to score, and they're favored. And that's what I really love is a weak favorite, as I talk about. Now, Jacksonville scores 24-9 a game, but I still don't buy it against Seattle. I'd like to see them against the Rams. I think they lost 24-14, and the Rams have an 18.5 defense. Here Seattle's got 18.5, so it's the same thing. The Rams went there and won as a road dog. And here you've got the same thing. You got Seattle going there. It doesn't matter to them if it's Jacksonville. It's a little warmer. That doesn't bother Seattle. So there's your teaser pick. Take Seattle +9, a great road dog, a great road dog. Baltimore and Pitt, take the dog. Baltimore +11.5. There's your teaser of the week. Thank you for all your kind compliments and words that I get in emails and things like that. I'm happy that I make a lot of people money. It's what I'm doing it for. And this is just this is the best way to do it, I find, is these videos. So you have some good games this week. I've been looking at my statistics for the last 6-7 weeks, And 4 weeks now, I've blown away and had like one loser or two losers. I've had a couple of bad weeks, but as I say, it's the same picks. It's just, the Rams lost to Minnesota. Well, okay, but you can see why I would have taken the Rams. Based on my knowledge and based on my stats, the Rams are the second best team in the league. So naturally, you're going to take them as a dog. But that's okay. It didn't come through. But then when I had New Orleans over the Rams and New Orleans covered, there you go. So the theory worked there, but no theory works 100% of the time. So anyway, that's what I'm looking at. And as always, bet against Cleveland. Let's see. The bet against Cleveland stat is now 27-1. Bet against them. Since 15, 39-5. But if we go 16-17, 27-1. Bet against Cleveland in a teaser. Remember, it's in a teaser, 6-point teaser. I don't know. People look at it like I'll say something, and it's always in a teaser. Unless I point blank say, like, I trapped the Atlanta game with, the Pittsburgh-Cincinnati game. I had Pitt in two strong teasers, so Pitt +1. Well, what happens is I thought Antonio Brown was out, so I'm like, okay, shit, let's do some risk management, and we're gonna bet Cincinnati +4.5, kind of in a trap. Now, if my buyers can see that what I said there, and I say it trap. I say Cincinnati trap, and I don't put a teaser line in. I say +4.5, +4.5, not a teaser line of +10.5, because I want to make sure you understand I'm trapping the Pitt game because I'm not sure about Antonio Brown if he's playing. Then when he played, I still had the trap, and then I hit both sides of it because Pitt wins by 3. Which I thought Pitt would win because Pitt always wins in Cincy, which is the whole basis of my whole foundation of picking games. How do they match up? It's the key to everything. And I'm looking at as many different methods because with all these injuries and all these changes, there's no Joe Montana. There's Tom Brady, but there's no Joe Montana. There's no Steve Young. There's no Joe Theismann. Bradshaw's not in the league. Emmitt Smith's not in the league. Jimmy Johnson. So to find the best, here I got Philadelphia's the best team, and I'm going, really? I saw how good Kansas City was until they came back down to earth. Basically here it's Philly, the Rams, New England, Jacksonville, and New Orleans. And at the beginning of the year, you never would have thought Philly, the Rams, Jacksonville, and New Orleans would be there. Even after week 2, you didn't think New Orleans. Philly, I think, lost 2. They lost to Kansas City. I'd like to have that game back. How did Kansas City beat Philadelphia? They can't beat a high school team right now. And then the Rams, look at where, they were like terrible in a teaser. Here's the Rams in 2016. The Rams, 13-3 bet against. So here you got the Rams, 13-3 bet against team. They get a new coach who's never coached before, and now they're 9-3 in a teaser, and you're just like, okay, really? Like, what do I do with it? And so that's what's been a little bit difficult this year is the Jets are 11-1 in a teaser. Jacksonville, they're not great at it. They're 8-4, but they're much better. I know in the beginning I bet against them as a road dog because they were terrible road dogs the last 5 years. All of a sudden they've made that better. So this is why I look at the stats and I get caught a little bit early. This is why I try to tell everybody. Now we're in the meat of the season. I know it's Jacksonville and Philly and the Rams. Those are my power teams, and that's who I'm going to bet on. But in the beginning of the year, I can't say that because I'm looking at what happened last year, and I'm going, well, there's no way I'm taking, the Rams and Philly. Philly last year with Carson Wentz. Now they were 13-3 last year, so you could kind of see that coming. Well, look at the Giants. They were 14-3 last year, and now they're 6-6, 10-2 bet against. So this is what makes it difficult. And this is why I use these stats, because the stats tell me what to do. It takes the emotion out of it. Philly's 11-1 in a teaser. Bet against Cleveland. Bet the Jets. Bet San Diego. Bet against Denver. Everything's laid out. All I got to do is read. And then I got to try to find the strength and bet against the weakness. And for years, the weakness has been Cleveland and Jacksonville. But now, Coughlin goes there and brings in a terrible coach. Now they're playing defense, and all of a sudden, Jacksonville's the toast of the town. And but they don't know how to win yet, and they're playing Seattle. And anytime you play Coach Pete as a dog, beware. I warned my friend last week. He says, well, who should I take, Philly or it was the Sunday night game, and I didn't pick it because I couldn't pick it. He had Philly, who's 11-0 in a teaser, but I ain't playing them as a favorite at Seattle. But I didn't want to go against Philly and take Seattle as a home dog. So I'm just watching because it's not a game to bet. You got two strong teams, but had Seattle been favored, I might have bet Philly as the dog. But here, it was either bet Seattle as the home dog or watch. So I watched, but I warned them, you can't bet against Coach Pete as a dog. And sure enough, Seattle lit them up. And I look for them to do similar things to Jacksonville to at least, if they do lose, you're getting 9 points in Seattle. That's a I just, even if they're down 20, Russell Wilson will bring them back because he's mobile. And you've seen this Jacksonville defense enough to see, like, when Roethlisberger threw 5 interceptions and they lost at home to Jacksonville, he hadn't seen the defense enough. Now we've seen it. Okay, it's always the thing, anything new, the first 4, 5, 6 weeks, it's new, and now we're into the season, now we know how to beat it. And that's what these coaches will do. Coach Pete's seen everything, right? He knows how to beat it. So that's what you look at is, how do I beat it? And you got Russell Wilson, probably a good matchup. The Rams beat it. I'm sure they're watching that tape. I know you got to run a little bit against it, but I think if you hit your tight end on short passes, that'll help you. Okay, everybody. Again, I'm running my bowl special, 150 for all the bowls every week, 4 weeks, plus college playoffs, plus any locks that I put up in the bowls. That's 150. The monthly, if you want all the pros and the college for December, basically for the next 4 weeks, I think that's 250 versus paying 100 a week for the pros and 75 a week for college. So if you want all the picks this week, it's 100 and a quarter, but for 250 you get the whole month, or for 150 you get all the bowl games. So I'm trying to help everybody out and give them a fair cost, but you're getting a lot of picks. You're not getting one pick. That's where everybody gets you. It's $39 for the 1 game or the 2 games, and you can't talk to the handicapper. Here you can talk to me, you can email me, and you're getting, what was I? I was I'm 17 and 2 last week. So I'm giving you 19 games. I go 17 and 2. The other guys are giving you 2 or 3 games, probably going 2 and 1. And I'm giving you all the details of how to do teasers and what are you looking for and how to bet them. All right, everybody. Well, good luck. www.teaserking.com. Again, take Seattle as the very live dog. Take Baltimore in the trend of the 2 teams in the division playing each other twice a year. Again, the dog is 21 and 4. The last 25 games, and what else do you want to know there? So anyway, good luck, everybody. Have a great weekend, and Christmas is coming soon. All right, take care, everybody.